Can I start talking? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, hello. And this is my quick biography. And my name is Helvecio, aka Elvis. Not a Presley fan though. And I live in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It's a little country down South America. Maybe you've heard about it. And I've been working with CMS for over no, yes, for over almost 10 years, definitely, yes. So, and I've been using Joomla since day two because, I was a little late getting the news. And so, but I was there since the beginning. And my clients are individuals and small business back in Brazil. I have just two clients here in the US, some friends that live here, and so I've been working with them as well. This presentation will be about Joomla 2.5x ACL and for newbies. And that means that if you haven't heard about the system at all, or maybe you have a few questions about it. Or there are also many people out there who are really used to the system and they really don't use the ACL at all. And this could be something that might be helpful for many people, okay? How many of you are new to Joomla? Okay. How many of you have been using Joomla since 1.5? 1.0? Good, well, okay. How many of you are programmers? Thank you. Designers, graphic designers, thank you. Okay. So I myself, I am a graphic designer. So this is from my perspective. Okay, so good news at this presentation works with Joomla 3.0 as well. Okay, so you won't have any problem if you're starting with Joomla 3.0 right now. It's pretty much the same. Just a few things that are in a different place, but if you look around, you will find it. Okay, what ACL stands for? ACL stands for Access Control Lists. In the beginning, it was very confusing, so people thought it was access control levels. Actually, it is at some point, but it's not how you call the whole system. That's just some information that you might be interested in. So let me start with the ACL overview in Joomla. Joomla ACL, okay, it's a system divided in two. First, it's about what users can view once they log on to the system or when they have a site on the public side only. For example, if you log in for a website and you will see this or that content or whatever. And ACL is also about what users can do. Once you're logged in, you can do this and you can do that. And through the core Joomla ACL, you can tell people what each user can do or not do. This is a quick graphic thing that I created. And it all starts with groups for me. And this is what I've been like developing for, not developing, but like what I've been putting together. Because in the beginning, I had a hard time understanding ACL myself. And I'll be true to you. I haven't started using the Joomla ACL until 2.5. Until 1.5, I didn't even know it existed. I just saw public, register, and special. What's a special? And then now I started when it was one of the major things when 2.5 was actually when 1.6 was launched, was released. So everybody was talking about it, and then I got curious, and then I tried to understand it. It was like a big impact because since day one, when I started using Joomla, everything was very easy. And ACL, for some reason, was kind of complicated for me. So I started researching and researching and researching until I could understand it. And it's a little bit complicated when you first look at it, because it's not something that you do just in one place. It's something that you do in several places. So you gotta have like you must have sort of a recipe if you want to do it quickly. Once you get to understand what to do, it comes out very easy. Okay, so what's the ACL in Joomla? In Joomla 2.5 and ahead, you can have groups, and these groups are unlimited. Okay, you can have as many groups as you want for any situation that you might have. A user can be assigned to as many groups that you want. So that means that a user can do several different things in the system if you want to. Okay. We have access levels. By default, we have public, registered, and special, but we can create as many as we want. Okay. Groups are the same groups we had in the first place. They are assigned to access levels. So you can tell which group can see what you want. So you can have in different access levels the same group in different access levels. That's when it starts to be good. That's when it starts to get interesting, okay? But we'll go through we'll clear it up a little bit later. Okay, this is just an overview. So what users can see. Oops, sorry, got a typo there. We can first we create user groups, and one user can be in more than one in different user groups. And user groups can have parent groups. So that means if a parent group is allowed to do something or denied to do, to see something, their child group will inherit that action. Okay, we'll look at that later. Once we create access levels, we can assign levels to one or more user groups. Okay, so and access levels can be assigned to articles, contests, categories in the system. So we will tell who will see what. This is the print screen from the special user manager, and this special group, it can see manager, author, and super users. Okay, so anyone who has this access level can see whatever is assigned to these groups. And as for example, administrator, it is a child of manager, he can also see whatever manager sees. And author, editor, publisher, as children from author, they can also see what author can see. This is a screen where you tell which access level that item. This could be anything. This is article categories. I think this is a menu item, and so this menu item can be seen by the public. I chose public here, okay? What users can do, groups and actions, they can be allowed, see, to inherit, allowed, and denied by the super administrator. Okay, this is a configuration that the super administrator can do in the system. This is a permission scope. This is what you can do. You can allow, you can deny, you can inherit, and you can not set to do anything. Not set, it's something that's used only at the public for the public user level. Permission inheritance, you can have like permission for a certain group, and all their child groups will inherit that permission as well. Okay. How permissions work? Not set. Defaults to deny. It's pretty much as denying, okay? But it's only available at the public, for the public user group. It won't be available for any other group in the system. Inherited, as I said before, inherits value from a parent group or from higher level and permission hierarchy. Not available at the public user group. Deny, it denies an action in the system. So you cannot do that. And finally, allow, you are allowed to do that thing. Hierarchy levels, where permission can be set. We can set the permissions at global configuration, at component or options levels, and category items and article items. These are screen, just for example. This is a global configuration, and then you're seeing the group administrator. On the left side, yes, you have the actions that are available for this group. In the middle, you have a possibility of changing that setting, and on the right, you have the settings in effect, the current. So, for example, the administrator in this system, it's allowed to log into the site that's on the front end. There's the login screen, he can log in. And he's allowed to the admin login, which is to the back end. He can access components. Every component on the system can be accessed. He can create, delete, edit state, and edit on. And there is just one action he cannot take. He's a super admin. If you change this one, you turn this this user a super user. So there's nothing stopping him or her of doing anything in the system. Okay. This is for the same panel, same screen, but right now for the menu at the menus manager. This is up to permissions for menus. So you can, the actions available are configure, access component, create, edit, delete, edit, and edit state. Configure, you can configure you will see the options button available on the top right of your screen. Access the component is actually getting to the component. And create a menu item, you can delete a menu item, you can edit a menu item, and you can edit a state of the menu item to publish or not published. Okay. This is category permissions. You can create, delete, edit state, and edit on. When you edit on, it's edit your own content with the same one that the specific user is allowed to. And this is on the article permissions level. You can delete, edit state. Who's confused? Just 3? You're lying. Okay, raise of hands. Who's confused? Okay. You had some previous information. Okay, so it looks very confusing at first, okay? And I was like, excuse me? Because as you notice, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of steps you must take to really be able to configure your ACL in the system, right? This is where I started to figure things out. I'm a graphic designer, so I need to see things. So it was like, okay, I have to write something down. So I put this spreadsheet together to understand what it was, because it didn't make any sense for me. I mean, at first it was like, is this one beneath the other, or is it no? So what do you see here? You have on the left side the user groups, you see, and on the right side the access levels. So the user group public, it's got public access granted for the public, and that's pretty much what it does. It just sees the website, okay? And then you start and you have manager and then the child group administrator. And then you have registered and child groups, author, editor, and publisher. And then finally you have super user. The first time I saw this, I thought, okay, public does nothing. Super user does everything. So the ones in between, they should be working. Yes. But it's not in order. So for example, if you look at the screen, you will see this, but manager has more permissions to do things in the system than the publisher, for example. Okay? So I started to understand how things worked, because then I started who had access and who had not, and who was inheriting access, etc., etc., etc. Permissions. This is how they do it. Okay, so we have here on the left side, we have the you have the groups on the left side, and on top you have actions. This is just for global configuration only. So if you take a look, you will see that public, it's not set for anyone, okay, for no groups, and super user is allowed for every group, okay. So there's like manager, administrator in the middle, and there's like confusing but it's actually started to, I started to realize that things were a little bit out of order, okay. This is Jen Kramer, and this is Randy Carey. I hope they don't mind I'm using their picture. And they write for Joomla magazine. Who reads the Joomla magazine? Okay, everyone, let's start reading Joomla magazine. It's very helpful when you are working with Joomla, okay, because you find a lot of good stuff in there. And it's like articles, quick articles that will help you a lot. Is there anyone here who is not from outside of the U.S.? You're not. Okay. And it's also good to remember that where are you from?
I'm from Spain.
You're Spain. Okay, and you are from?
The Netherlands.
Okay, so we have content in other languages too. So it's good that if you can contribute and stuff like that, it's okay. But anyway, if you can speak English, you can go to the Joomla Community Magazine and you will find lots of good articles, especially on ACL, which was very helpful by the time I really started researching it. Okay? So then I started having ideas. I put it all together. This is the access levels, and I had to put some order to it. Okay? So I realized that if I change places and then things started to get more in place. Okay, so now we have the public, and I did it like this. I divided which one had front-end access and which one had back-end access. Okay, so I found out that register, author, editor, and publish, these user groups, they only have front-end access. Manager, administrator, and super user, they also have back-end access. So good. And then I looked at access levels. If you look at access levels, this is something that I figure out by myself. You have, if you look at it right now, you see public and register. And as I told you before, you can create as many levels as you want to. So I figure, why not create a level named for the group? And it started to make sense. And so I had, like, for example, an author, he could have an access level also named author that could be used by the public, the register, and the user group author. But it was still a little bit complicated. Access level, this is how they do it. as I told you before, it's a little bit out of order, so it didn't make much sense at first. But what I must say here, for example, the public has public access granted for it, and managed, for example, is assigned to a red. No, I'm sorry. Access level registered is assigned to the manager, to registered, and super user. And then we have special that's assigned to manager, author, and super user. You might be wondering, what's this special about? And it actually took me a while to find out what it was. And we'll get there in a few moments. So I started sorting things out. This is permission. So I made, as I did before, with access levels. So I made like I made this, and I had the public as being number one, and then register, author, editor, publisher related to the front end in order, and then finally the back end. As having the super user as the one who's got more power to do whatever it wants in the system. Okay, these are just ideas. When soon we will see how to apply them. Okay, I just want to make a point here to see how my crazy mind got to where we're going. And this is how it's been done previously. I want the comparison screen. And so I decided to put together a tutorial to make things clearer. So I developed this like a company staff, which has an owner, a supervisor, and associates. In this case, we have two associates. Associate number one and associate number two. It's good to know that once you have a user group, you can assign it to only one user. So this gives you a lot of power, because then you can have specific permissions and access levels to just one user. Okay, so in a bigger environment, for example, a company, you can have like each person having their own specific permissions and access levels. So this is what I did. Okay, this is a step-by-step guide. Okay, so you can, when you get back home, this presentation will be available online later. Okay, and what I did was say what each one of the groups could do. So the owner, it can see the content for the owner, for the supervisor, for associates 1 and 2. He can view, create, edit, and delete articles. This is not much, but it's just an example. The supervisor can see content for the supervisor, associates 1 and 2. He can view, create, edit articles. And the supervisor cannot see content for the owner. Associates can see content for all associates, and they can view articles. Associates cannot see content for owner and supervisor. Each associate, in this case, they can see content for all associates, and they can see specific content for each one of them, I mean, for themselves. And they cannot see content for the owner, the supervisor, and other associates. In this case, associate number 2. Associate number 2, like associate number 1, he can see content for all associates, specific content for himself or herself, and it cannot see for the owner, for the supervisor, or for the associate number one. Oops, sorry, sorry, sorry. This is how I started. Let me just a second, please. This is a sample Joomla website. It's 2.5.8, okay? And I installed it with a brochure sample data, okay? So it's really not much. And I added a few articles. I'm going to see that later. Let me put this for the side, so you can see. First thing I did is to delete the following groups: author, editor, publisher, manager, and administrator. Okay, I did not delete registered, oops, another typo, and super users. I created the following user groups: front end, and then child groups, associates, and to associates children group, associate number 1 and number 2. Then I created a group called backend, which had supervisor and owner as children. If you notice, I put a number 1 beside the name. Why did I do that? Because if I didn't, on the screen, Joomla sorts it out alphabetically. So if I have back end and front end, back end would be before front end. So it's just my TOC, okay? And then I had to put the front end first and the back end second. Front end and back end are children of public. Associates number 1 and 2 are children of associates. And as I told you, I put the numbers to make it sequential. So in global configuration, I went to permissions. The front end, I changed the site. It all started with the public. Okay, public is not set as I told you before. It can be changed, but usually we don't change unless we really have to. And then at front end, I changed site login. I allowed people, users who belong to this group, if any, to log in through the front end, and also to have offline access, which means that for some reason the websites put offline, they can also access the content. And then on associates, I simply let it as it is, everything inherited. Okay, so they were inheriting the permissions from front end, I'm sorry, and either to both associates 1 and 2 also they were inheriting the permissions from front end, so there's no big change here. Backend, I decided to allow also that they have the admin login, so they can log into the back end of the system. And how long do I have?
15 minutes.
Oh, okay, thank you. So I have login. I can log into the system, okay, and do things in the back end. The supervisor as a plus. No, I'm sorry. Here, here in the global configuration, he just inherits the same permissions from the backend. And the honor, I did a trick. I tell the honor to be, I just changed here, super admin, so he becomes a super user, so he can do everything and anything in the system. So I don't have to, if I, okay, the honor, he's the honor, so I really don't have to worry too much. Be a super user, and if you screw up, just call me and I'll charge you a little bit so I can fix things back. They always do. So, now I go to the article and article manager options, content, article. And let's see what I have to do. I have to just, on the supervisor, allow him or her to access the administration interface, create, edit, and edit state, and edit on. Okay? All others, I don't have to do anything. Why? Because I don't want anyone from the front end to do anything like this. I just want them to see the articles, okay? And only the supervisor and the owner can do things related to the article. As the owner is already a super user, I don't have to worry about him. So the only configuration I must do is for the supervisor. Let me. Now we are creating levels and assigning them to user groups, okay? Remember that access levels could control who sees what, including modules, content, and so forth. Menus are a module, and even on the back end of Joomla, they're an administrator module, and these administrator modules are assigned an access level of special. That's when special comes handy, because every module on the back end will be assigned as special. So this is very important, because then this is how we'll be able to work with things on the background and let users see or not see some components. Content. I created some dummy content, okay? It's just blah blah, it's just gibberish, but I put some, the titles are related to the user group or access level. So for example, I have schedule for number 1, schedule for number 2, associates news, which will be for all associates, a supervisor to-do list, only the supervisor will be able to see it, and the owner's agenda, only the owner can see it. Schedule for number 1 and for number 2 is an article that only each associate will be able to see. I assigned the respective access level to each of these articles, because I just want those groups specifically to see them. And I made these articles featured. This is not very, it's just because you will see they will appear in the front page of the site. So just, that's why I made them featured. And then I created users and had them assigned to those user groups. I've created the owner. Her name is Supreme. I have the supervisor, caretaker. Associate A, employee. Associate B, collaborator. So in the menu manager, I went to the main menu and then I clicked the home menu. I changed it to start to feature articles. Okay, so then I would be able to see feature articles in the front page. Now, then I went to the front end and I tested all the usernames, and then I went to the back end and then I tested all the usernames. So let's go and take a look how it works. So first I will open a new window. Okay. Let's start with caretaker. Caretaker, she's the supervisor, okay. Okay, caretaker, she can only see the articles manager. I mean, it's only the content component, okay? Because when I assign at the content, remember, she was the only one that we changed permissions in the content manager and the content component, and that's why she's the only one that she can only, or she can see only this. All the other components are not viewable because I have not allowed her through the permissions for each component to see it. Okay. If I log out and then I have Supreme, the owner, which Sue. Very difficult password. 1234. Supreme, she can see everything because she's a super user. I really don't have to worry about it. And then I log out and I have collaborator, also 1234. He can access only the systems through the back end, so from the front end. So when I try to log in here, sorry, cannot. But if I go to the front end, code 1 2 1 2 3 4, I see an article for code and the article for all associates. Let's take a look now for those who have how different we see the front end for each one of them. This is for code. Now let's take a look for N. I see the article for N. I also see the associate news. Okay. Now let's take a look. Care. She's the supervisor. I see she can see article for N, article for all associates, her own stuff, to-do list, and the article for code. And finally, we have Supreme. She's owner, she's a super user, and so she sees all articles, including her own, right here. Okay? So that's it, people. I really try to put this together to help people understand better. If you take some time, Joomla ACL is not easy at all, but it's something that's really worth learning. Okay, because by the you think, oh, but I don't use it for my everyday needs. I just have one user, two user. That's not a problem. As I told you, you can have ACL for just one member or two members. I mean, I'm sorry. You have from two members up, you can have ACL working in your system. For example, this tutorial I created is based upon one of my clients. She's got, she owns the company, and she's got a supervisor, and she's got two associates. And pretty small, very small. And she's using ACL because there's stuff that she doesn't others to see, the associates and stuff. So it's very helpful. So there might be a use. As long as you have two users in the system, it's going to be worth using it. And also there are some situations where even you just have your client, and you are the super user. You're the one who takes care of the website. You can have a specific access level for the owner of the company, which does not do everything. Okay, and he will do whatever he wants, what he needs, and so you don't give too much information, so he won't get lost. Okay. So that's it. I hope this has helped you. This presentation will be available soon. And if you have any questions, I'll be outside, okay? And thank you very much for your presence. I hope you enjoyed and have a great conference here with all of us, okay? Thank you.
Where will the talk be?
Excuse me?